In this episode of MPTV, we sit down with Chay of Coconut Kenny's. This is one of their 6 locations. We're out here in Washington, and we're gonna talk about what they do differently on their menu, including some awesome sandwiches you wouldn't expect from a pizza shop. We're also gonna dig into what him and his brother did the last 17 years to grow this from 1 location to 6 and still keep that magic. And finally, we're gonna find out what they do in the community that's helped them make a huge difference and sell a lot of pizza. Come with me. Hey, what's up? It's Matt. We are back with another episode of MPTV. This time, we are in Washington. We're at Coconut Kenny's. We're here with one of the owners, Chay. What's going on?
Not much, hanging out. Happy to have you guys here, so thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us. So we had some amazing food today.
Thanks.
And been seeing it on paper for so long. So I guess before we get into the food and the concept, tell us about Coconut Kenny's, how long you guys have had the restaurant, you and your brother, and tell us about that journey.
So Lee and I have had Coconut Kenny since 2004.
Okay.
We grew up in the restaurant business. Our parents owned a couple restaurants growing up. In high school, well, funny story, I haven't told you this before, but you know, growing up in Asian restaurants, you know, you didn't have a choice. You had to work in them. You know, you get off school, it's like, get done with your homework, go in the kitchen, chop vegetables, do your thing. And my mom was a slave driver. Like you're not doing it fast enough. You know, so she's always pushing, you know, this work ethic on us, which is, you know, we're thankful for and we're grateful for now. But when one of the rules in the family was when you turned 16, you had a choice. You could go work for someone else, or you could stay working for my mom. And for us kids, it was an easy decision. I'm going to work somewhere else. I'm gonna get paid, and you know, we're not gonna get, you know, in our eyes, like, we're not gonna have to work as hard, right? So Lee and I, when we turned 16, we went and worked for a local pizza parlor. That's how we got introduced to the pizza business. Pietro's Engine House Pizza, that's where we worked. So, you know, we went there, and I remember, you know, like working there, we moved up really quick. We became management there super fast because, you know, our parents taught us good work ethic, and I remember managing some people, and I'm like, gosh, this job's so hard. I'm like, this is, you crazy? This is easy. Go work for my mom, you know? So anyways, that's how we got, you know, we grew up in the restaurant business, and then we got introduced to the pizza business because in high school we worked there. So in '04, I was going to college at Western. On my last year of college, I was working at Best Buy at the time, but because of, I guess, my restaurant roots, if you will, I always wanted to own a restaurant, and Coconut Kenny's came up as a business opportunity and classified ads. Reached out to the owner, had a couple meetings with him, and decided to purchase the original Coconut Kenny's from Ken Krumdiak, the original owner at the time. Went out seeking financing for it, unsuccessfully for a good 2 months, and couldn't come up with the financing. Fortunately, Ken maybe saw some promising attributes in my brother and I, and decided, hey, you know, if you guys want to buy this thing, we'll finance you ourselves. And I guess that's how we got.
The rest is history.
Yeah. 2004, owned that one for 4 years before we opened our second location in 2008, and then ever since then, it's been kind of every couple years we'd open another location, and we've got 6 now, and operating in 6 different cities and communities, and getting to be a part of all those communities has been fun. So,
now you said earlier when you opened the second one, it was 4 years later, and you talked about that 4 years was tough.
Yeah, extremely tough.
And I was talking to a restaurateur about a year ago who opened his second location a year after the first. And I remember, he's a good guy, but I remember him telling me how the first one wasn't working correctly yet. It wasn't profitable, wasn't this, that. And my concept was, well, why do a second? Like we've got a gym we talked about that I'm a minority owner in, and you know, when I was a majority owner a while back, everybody, oh, you guys got to open another location. And I'm like, we haven't figured out this one yet.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spread myself. Was that kind of the thought process that, when did you know you were going to open a second location?
The second location was more of it wasn't planned. It was an opportunity. Someone approached us, said, hey, there's another pizza restaurant that's going out in this city that happened to be about 25 minutes away from where you guys are at now. Any interest in it? And because at that time it was tough. We were trying to figure out if this was even a good idea, to be honest with you. And because the opportunity arose, like, this is a good way to grow our brand. It's not going to cost us much, relatively speaking, and maybe it's a good idea. So we took the plunge and we did it. Going back to your question, though, I think after we opened up our third location was when it really started to click and make sense, because for small restaurant owners, I think that you've probably heard the term before, work on your business, not in your business.
Yep.
And when you're a small business owner, you don't have that opportunity to do that as much, because you're in there, you're doing dishes, you're making food, you're talking to the customers, you're doing everything that's super, super important, or that you think is super important. And not that those things aren't, but because those things take up so much of the owner's time, they don't have time to sit back and plan and look at the vision and think about all the high level things, and once we got to our third location and we started doing a little bit more volume and we could afford managers to do those types of things, we were able to concentrate on growth and operations and systems, and break our business down to really understand what are we doing well and what are our opportunities, and then it was 2 years after our third location, we opened our fourth one, and that was when it really was like, oh, we're onto something here. Like, this is all, economies of scale, as we were able to start negotiating better contracts, not with just the food vendors, but all of our vendors. Everything that we were buying more of, like, thinking back on it now, like, honestly, Matt, I don't think, if someone said, if you weren't in the restaurant business, would you start all over? I don't think I would, because how difficult it is, and what I remember from starting from scratch. Like, when I hear someone tell me, like, hey, I'm gonna open a restaurant, you
gotta get ready.
Yeah. Hope you're ready for the ride, and why are you doing it? It's like, if you're doing it just because you want to make money, it's the wrong reason, because you're gonna find yourself in a place where that might not be true, and you better believe in what you're doing, and you better enjoy it, and I think that's, the thing that Lee and I have always stuck with is, like, we sell a product that we believe in. We really like our product. We're not selling something that we wouldn't eat ourselves, and I'm sure that's the case for most, restaurant owners, but we love our staff, we love the communities that we do business in, and, makes it a lot easier, even on tough days.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what you said there is so true. Is that a lot of business owners never get a chance to be the CEO of the company. They're an employee.
Yeah.
I had that. I've joked about it a year ago that I'm finally not an employee of my company. That from 2008 until 2019, actually probably 2017, everything went through Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so involved in the day-to-day that I couldn't look above it and see that how we could fix things. And probably the last 18 to 24 months, I've almost exclusively done that. And it's wild, because I look at some of the advancements we've made in our company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I was stupid. How did I do that 5 years ago? Well, the reason I didn't, I couldn't. I was in the weeds.
You don't have them, yeah. And you don't have the cash flows to do it, or whatever the reason is. Yeah. No, Lee and I are really fortunate. We've got two, we call them area managers. One manages our Whatcom County stores, and the other one oversees Skagit County stores. They happen to be brothers, and they've worked for us ever since the beginning. And so they do a lot of the things that we used to do. So we're able to do the higher level things.
Yeah,
so.
and you've obviously let go of some of those things and allow them to make the mistakes.
Yeah, you have to trust them, and they still do make mistakes every day. And there's things that we'll hear that happens within the restaurants, and like, hey, did you take care of that? It's like, yeah. How'd you do it? And of course, there's things where it's like, I don't think I would have did it that way, but you explain to them, you coach them, and mean, there's just no way, you know, they're going to learn unless you let them get in the trenches and do it, you know. But sometimes it's fun to get, you know, in the restaurants and do the things that you used to do too. You know, it's funny because in the restaurant business, when someone gets hired on, the easiest place to put them on a busy night where you don't have time to like watch every one of their moves is the dish pit, right? Like, hey, you got to go back there and do dishes. Every new employee, like, I got to do dishes, you know, like, hey, doing dishes. No one wants to do dishes. But I have days where if I'm in the restaurant, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do dishes, you know, because that's the one spot in the restaurant where, you know, you don't have to deal with your coworkers, you don't have to deal with customers. You turn on your music, you're in the zone. All I gotta do is get these dishes clean. It's the most mindless thing that you could do, and sometimes you just need those nights where like, I don't want to think about anything.
You know what my go-to is?
What's that?
I pressure wash the gym parking lot.
And
I paint the gym floor. Like our gym is 11,000 square feet, and there's a big parts of it. I'm not a handyman, but I figured out how to do the floor paint from Home Depot and the sprinkles.
Yeah.
And Casey, my partner, always jokes that when in doubt, Matt will paint the floors, and then I literally enjoy pressure washing. It's the same thing.
Yep.
Headphones on, listen to some music, and it's just, you can
Yep.
see when you make progress. You
Yep.
see when the blacktop's clean.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that.
Oh man. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, break time. Restaurateurs, it's Matt. And if you're watching MPTV, you're obviously interested in improving your business. What if I told you could finally take the hope and pray out of your marketing plan and spend money and see results? You see, most marketing starts with the same exact tactic. You gain the attention of somebody, but that's where the majority of it stops. What we do with the ROI engine is help you gain amazing attention, which drives gigantic engagement. That engagement leads to customers to tell us who they are, meaning they opt into your email, text, and birthday program, and then we drive them to buy something. We've got a lot of great programs that can help you, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're interested, it's easy. Check out ROIexperts.net. You can schedule an appointment, and we'll hop on a call with you. Worst case scenario, you learn how to market your restaurant like you've never heard of before. Back to the action.
So talk about, you mentioned earlier the food. Mm-hmm. I joked about this earlier on the way here with Doug and him. I'm like, I can't wait to try these sandwiches because of all the pizza restaurants I've been around, the majority are pizza places. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Coconut Kenny's as a pizza brand because that's what you do. I think probably do the best, I would imagine. Which, by the way, the pizza's amazing. I love the crust and the cheese, that kind of Detroit style. But I would see the marketing we help you with and see the sandwiches sell.
Yeah.
And I was just marveled because I don't see pizza places sell sandwiches like that. And I got them today, and they're amazing. So talk about like menu creation because I would imagine a lot of your competitive pizza places in the market you're in don't have sandwiches like that.
No, they don't. And, you know, it's funny because when we create a listing on anything, you know, on Google or, you know, Yelp or whatever, you have to choose like what type of restaurant you are, and that's admittedly a hard one for us to do. Do we say we're a sandwich restaurant or do we say we're a pizza? Because we sell, you know, an equal amount of both. Our customers love both of them. The reason why we liked Coconut Kenny's and decided to buy it was because they had great sandwiches, and we inherited a great bread recipe, and that's, you know, that's the base of our sandwich, and that's what makes our sandwich. Our customers love it. And, that's it. So we're never giving that recipe away. I can tell you that. So.
And you said the bread, you have your own commissary now, and you guys bake the bread fresh. It's not from a food distributor.
Nope. All the bread is baked out of our Burlington location and shipped to each one of our restaurants on a daily basis. So
it's funny because a lot of the podcasts I've done, the people I've talked to, I'm amazed to find out how much stuff they have in their place that's house made, or that's, you know, not from a distributor. And it's the common trend among successful brands that there's, you know, it's not the same thing they get somewhere else.
Yeah. Having, you know, I mean, if you talk about the pizza industry, I mean, it's probably the most popular food segment in the States, right? Either that or burgers. I'm sure they're, you know, very, very close. So coming up with a product or having a product that stands out amongst, you know, the pizza world. I mean, there's a lot of good, you know, pizza restaurants out there. They're great. We love pizza. We eat it every day. actually one of our favorite things to do when Lee and I travel is we can't wait to find a pizza restaurant because we love trying other people's pizzas, you know. The sandwiches, however, you know, it's like you said, it's pretty rare that a pizza place does sandwiches really well, and I think that's what sets us apart is you can get really good sandwiches. And you tried 2 of them, but all of our sandwiches have very, very unique flavors.
I'm gonna try them all.
yeah.
I got another day and a half in town. I think I can probably eat a sandwich every meal. And the cool thing about that, I think, is it just adds a different flavor. Because a lot of people, like we've talked to, you know, barbecue restaurants. One of the stresses that they have sometimes is that the wife doesn't want heavy barbecue. And so, okay, what do we offer somebody else? Like, well, here I could see sandwiches, pizza. You got something for the whole family.
Yeah, we've got a great, we call it the pipeline, but it's our version of a French dip sandwich. We've got a cheesesteak sandwich. We've got a pesto turkey sandwich. I mean, a lot of different flavors that we combine with the bread, and it works out well. So.
Okay, so now let's shift for the last part, marketing. You know, I knew there was something special going on when we started working with you, and I saw the engagement of your social media. I saw how quickly people were to raise their hand to want to be involved with the brand and the VIP club and things like that. And you told a story earlier about involvement in the schools and the community. I think that's a big gap a lot of times. They look at it and go, oh, it's expensive to give away pizzas or to sponsor this team. But I grew up, like you mentioned, my dad's an entrepreneur. I worked at his insurance agency. And when I was a kid, he sponsored everything he could. Plapp Insurance baseball teams were everywhere. We sponsored every high school, every middle school, you name it. Talk about like how you've used Coconut Candies as a community to, one, give back to the community and support them, but also drive sales.
Yeah, I mean, participating in the community and marketing goes hand in hand, right? I mean, anytime you are doing anything that is community related, you get your name out there, you're doing something for that cause, and you're also doing, you know, something for yourself, and that's what, you know, makes it so easy to do. We're a proud sponsor of Ferndale Athletics. It's at Ferndale High School. We donate a lot of pizzas to their concessions during sporting events and stuff. They get to sell it and raise money for the school. But we get our brand out in front of a lot of visiting families. You know, that's huge. As you know, we're very active on social media. Prior to, you know, working with you guys, over a 3 or 4 year period, we gained 12 to 15,000 followers. We made a big push for that. Joining with you guys and letting the VIP program take over, I feel like was a culmination of like a lot of hard work and seeing it come to fruition, really, right? We had all these followers, and now like we get to measure and see how, you know, how they can affect our business, you know, and take it to another level. So, but you know, marketing in general, no matter when you're starting out, I remember my first 3 or 4 years in the business. You know, most of the time it was print advertising agencies that would call you up, or they walk into the store. You know, I'm like, hey,
Coupon magazines.
Yeah, I've got this print. I want you to advertise in it. Like, well, how much is it? You know, it could be anywhere from $200 to $600. Sometimes they're even over $1,000, right? Oh man, so I barely made $1,000, and I was hoping to take this home this month, and you want me to give it back to you? You know, like, I mean, every small business owner, I think, at one point or another, face that decision, right? Like, so hard to like give up this money that I worked so hard for, you know. But you know, looking back now, when you talk about marketing, I think I'd tell any new business owner, number one, don't put yourself in a position where you're having to spend what you should be taking home. You know, like make sure you budget enough to marketing right away. You know, so if you were planning on spending $5,000 in your first month, up that to 25, because you can't ever spend enough, right? Like if I could go back, I would have spent 10 times as much as I did on marketing, on anything and everything, because I don't think that there's, I don't think that any marketing that I did was bad, I think that there were certain marketing avenues that I did that were less effective than others, you know, and throughout the years and experience, you start to figure out, okay, well, where can I spend this money that's going to get me the most bang for your buck, right? But I think, you know, I look back, I mean, I remember when I spent $600 to be on the back of a receipt at grocery stores. You know, I was so frustrated because one time I did that at the Cedar Woolley location. The food pavilion somehow talked me into doing that. And I didn't get a darn coupon back, you know, for like 3 months. I'm like, gosh, I wish I could get that $600 a month back, right? But you don't know, you know. But looking back on those, I'm like, well, I wonder how many times someone saw my coupon, even though they didn't use it, they saw that brand and they're, you know, maybe they drove by or they heard it on the radio, and, you know, I say 7 impressions. You know, I've always kind of followed that rule. If it's a legitimate customer that actually eats out, you know, that likes pizza, after, you know, 7 impressions, they'll give you a try. It's your job to make sure you take care of them and give them good food and, you know, get them to come back, you know. So over time, you start trying to figure out, like, okay, how do you change that 7 impressions to maybe 3 or 4? And, you know, what you guys do is great, right? You guys start figuring out the trends of demographics of our customers, and it's like, hey, let's not put this ad in front of someone who doesn't even like pizza, you know. Let's not do that. So
yeah, I think impressions are all too often overlooked.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a pair of sunglasses last year off of Instagram, and I actually saw the ad probably 20 times. I clicked and went to their website 2 or 3, and for whatever reason, it took me till like that, you know, 20th time seeing it to buy the sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times businesses, they try too hard to make every dollar. I don't want to tell people that every dollar doesn't count, but you feel like every dollar's got to count. I think it's a lot of times they starve their ad budget. That their ad budget, they don't put enough into it to have that money that they can occasionally waste here and there. But I always tell people, all advertising works. It's just a matter of if it's more efficient than this one or this one. I mean, because everybody's got to see something, whether it's TV or radio or direct mail or a billboard or Facebook or Instagram. If you get somebody's attention and captivate the right person, eventually they're going to try you out. But I love what you said, because I use this all the time. I tell people from a marketing standpoint, it's marketing's job to get them in here one time. It's the experience in the 4 walls to get them to come back a second time.
100%.
And I think that's a lot of times that people drop that. I've had restaurants and businesses that I think don't focus enough on that experience. And obviously looking around, you guys focus on the experience. Amazing atmosphere here. But that's what gets people to come back the second time. And then if you can gain their data, you can get them back 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yep.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Okay, so I end the podcast typically with a question, but I'm going to change up the question moving forward, because I think you're the right person to start this one.
Oh boy.
I usually ask a tip or trick that somebody can use to improve their restaurant. But the more I get along this path, I think it's a tip or trick to improve their life. So like for you, what's something that you do? Because I mean, I like to work out. Obviously, you like to work out. You do stuff outdoors. You're with your family, your kids. What's something you would tell another restaurant owner they need to incorporate in their life to make their life overall better outside of the restaurant?
Outside of the restaurant, I tell them to golf. I love golf, but no, I know golf isn't for everyone. Boy, you put me on the
spot there.
Put me on the spot. I'd say, well, along the lines of golf, find a hobby that can get your mind off of your business, even if it's just for half an hour or an hour a day. You gotta give your mind a break. I actually really like landscaping. I don't think I've ever told you this. I love landscaping. So like, I'm the buddy that you'll come over and you'll see my house and you're like, hey, who do you pay for landscaping? I'm like, no, I do it myself. Like, no, seriously, who do you know, like, no, I do it myself, you know? So like, I love going out, mowing my yard, trimming my bushes and my trees and making sure my edges are straight. Like that relieves my stress.
I like it.
Yeah, but finding a hobby, having something outside of, you know, your business that you can enjoy doing. And that doesn't mean I don't enjoy my business. I love my business, you know. But I also have other things. I golf, I landscape. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I'm a real estate broker. I've sold real estate for the last
I know that.
16 years.
Well, I knew you did a long time ago. So you
Yeah.
still actually have that.
Yeah, I represent buyers and sellers every once in a while, but not full time by any means. But
Yeah.
it gets my mind off of pizzas, you know. So I just like to dabble in, you know, I own the tap room, you know that. So just diversifying and not making everything about that, because, you know, restaurant business is tough. You have your ups and downs, and it's a stressful, you know, business to own. But
I think the reason I switched that question up was I kept seeing a theme with a lot of people that people don't know how to get out of their business from a standpoint that people are too tied to it. You know, me, for example, I love doing CrossFit. I love doing CrossFit because I walk in, the phones aren't allowed on the floor, so your phone's in a cubby hole, and Lindsay or Casey or whoever's teaching class that day is telling me what to do for an hour.
yeah,
And so my mind's off, I'm talking to friends, I'm getting healthy. I also golf in a golf league. I have a golf league that myself, I'm about 10 other people, my dad's in it. I look
Nice.
at it from a standpoint, I get to spend time with my dad. We get to have a little banter and bet money back and forth, but also it's every Tuesday. And so I know it's happening. And so I think those things are important. But I wanted to ask that because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, we make life too much about this,
yeah.
and we don't take care of this and our body.
Yeah. I think, you know, biggest thing that I learned is no matter how big the problem is, if you're smart and you're hardworking, you'll solve it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to keep that phone next to you because you want to put out that fire right away, and it doesn't always have to happen that way. Trust your people to take care of things for you. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
yeah, thank you.
That's it for this episode of MPTV. Stay tuned for the next one, and if you're in the Washington area, make sure you swing by because you're going to find a pizza place that has the best sandwich. You gotta call it a sandwich place with great pizza. But you're going to find it here at Coconut Kenny's. We'll see you around.